I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so again, the text number is going to come up, but here's the format for tonight. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for opening statements. After that, they will each receive 3 questions. These questions, again, are random. So they will get 3 questions. They will be given 2 minutes to answer each question. And then after all the questions have been completed, each one of them will have a 1-minute closing statement, and then I'm going to release them to their tables. We're going to give them time to get out there. So I'll tap dance for you, keep you busy while they get out to their tables. And so with that, sitting the closest to me, and we will just go in order tonight. We're just going to go straight down the line, and we'll just round robin. So Dave Donnelly, you are first. Please feel free to pick up the mic. Hold on, pause your timer. Everyone watch the young lady right in the middle here. She's got flags. When you have 10 seconds left, she will wave the flag. When your 10 seconds is over, did I say minutes? I meant seconds. When those 10 seconds are over, there's a guy I have out there that's willing to run up here and tackle you if you don't stop talking. So you won't know where it's coming from. I'm just letting you know. All right, so take it away, Dave.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Thank you, and I want to thank CFAN for hosting this tonight. I'm Dave Donaldson. I'm the councilman from District 1, which is the northwest part of the city. I've served in that position for 4 years now, and I'm running for re-election. You can run for re-election 1 time as a city councilman, so I'm doing it this 1 time. I'm a former Green Beret in the Army. I'm an Iraq War veteran. My wife and I came here in 1991 with our 2-week-old daughter, and really we've stayed here the whole time, except for my military deployments and things like that. We raised our son and our daughter here in Colorado Springs, and they're still here in Colorado. As you drive through the District 1, you'll see my signs, and they say, "Vote Donaldson, he votes for you." And I think those of you in the audience know that's exactly what I have done over these last 4 years, and I'm going to continue to do that over the next 4. Recently, someone wrote a letter to the editor in the Gazette, and hi, Gamey, and they said, Dave Donaldson, the Honorable Dave Donaldson, Councilman for the People. And why did they, and I wear that as a badge of honor. Why did they say that? And it is because of my voting record, which I consistently vote for neighborhoods and for citizens. One thing I've done since I've been on council is I wrote the resolution saying we are not a sanctuary city. And that resolution, it passed on a 6-3 vote. We had to tone it down a little bit to get 6 votes. A reporter at the border has come back and told us that there's a paper that gets passed out to these illegal immigrants that come across the border, and it has a list of cities to go to and a list of cities to stay away from, and we're on the list to stay away from. She believes it's because of that resolution. I've fought hard for Rock Rimmon Library. I've voted no on 2424 Garden of the Gods, and also on the Widener Apartments right next door, because that's a fire hazard. That's a critical choke point, and it's high-density apartments. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Tom Bailey, and I'm running for City Council in District 2. We're the far north district in the city, and I'm running to fill the seat that has been held by Randy Helms for the last couple years, and I look forward to representing the people of District 2 and really the people of all of Colorado Springs. I first came to Colorado Springs in 1982 when I came into the Air Force Academy, came back again in the mid-90s, and my wife and I have lived here now since 2012 when I retired from the Air Force. This is a city that we all love. We all came here at one point or another. Even people at the border want to come here, but they're discouraged. Unfortunately, those aren't the only people that are coming here, and actually I should say fortunately. Lots of people in this country want to live here. This is the best place to live, always among the top best places to live in the country, and we need to govern our city and manage the growth that's inevitably coming to Colorado Springs. I've had the opportunity for the last 7 years to serve on the El Paso County Planning Commission, so I've got pretty deep experience in land use issues, I think that smart growth is critical, so we manage where things go and how the city grows, so it's best for all of us who have been here for a long time, or those that are just newcomers to our city. I also think that public safety is very important, and that takes a lot of forms, from law enforcement to safety from environmental hazards like wildfires. We also need to encourage economic growth, and that economic growth may be challenged if Space Command moves, but we need to continue to attract and keep industry that serves our city and makes for a vibrant economy. And we do that by affordable housing. We do that a number of ways, and I look forward to being part of that solution as we move into the future.
Good evening. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy Thursday nights. I know there's still one more work day left in this week. I'm Brandy Williams, and I'm running for City Council in District 3. For those of you who don't know, District 3 is down in the southwest part of town. It includes Old Colorado City, downtown, the Broadmoor, Ivywild, that kind of little alcove down there. I was born and raised in Colorado Springs. My father was born and raised in Colorado Springs, and my grandfather was born and raised in Colorado Springs. And I think this election timed out perfectly, so I can finally say my family's been here for 125 years. My dad was a cattle rancher, so I grew up with the best childhood you could ever ask for, and I really thought every little girl had a horse. So I was a little taken aback when that was not the norm. But my mom wanted me to go get my engineering degree, and I did that and then came back to Colorado Springs to serve this community. I practiced as a civil engineer for about 10 years and then decided there was more I could do for my community, and I ran for city council, and I got elected at large in 2011. And I served what I thought was the perfect time for this community. I really helped with Memorial Hospital to transition that to UC Health. And the reason I'm running again is to give back, to take all the knowledge that I have to help, depending upon whether Dave gets reelected or not, with the new seats that are going to be there. We could potentially have 6 new council members, and that's just a lot for this community. And I have to ad-lib for a second, because tonight's my anniversary, and I have to say happy anniversary to the Navy SEAL that I found hiding in Colorado Springs. So thanks, honey. For supporting me on not 1, but 2 campaigns that I know is not your wheelhouse. But I appreciate his support, I appreciate all of your support, and yes, if there's additional questions, I'll be available at the end.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sharia Elliott Sterling, and I'm running for City Council in District 4. That's on the southeastern part of Colorado Springs. I'm a young mother in District 4. I have 3 young kiddos, and I've been in our district for at least 5 years. I've actually been in Colorado Springs since 2014, and over that time, I've been able to see that our district has turned from a place of opportunity to a place of decline. And something that I appreciate about our country is we have the American dream. That means we not only have the ability to use our God-given talents to make, a life for ourselves, but we have opportunity. Unfortunately, in District 4, it's no longer a land of opportunity. Actually, the Southeast Colorado Community Plan says that District 4 is actually one of the districts that's lagging behind all the rest of Colorado Springs. So I'm running because not only am I invested in seeing my children have a land of opportunity again, but I'm invested in seeing all the other children that I love, take care of, have moms group with, have that same opportunity. And I want to make sure that we have someone in District 4 that doesn't see District 4 as a victim place, but sees it as a place for those to propel themselves. I want us to create a pipeline for success generation after generation, and that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cass Moline. I'm running for District 5. First of all, I want to say thank you for coming out here tonight, supporting local government. It's it's super amazing to see you guys out here and doing that. And thank you for being here, all of you guys. This is an amazing group of people. I'm so privileged to just even be up here. So like I said, my name's Cass Moline. I was a federal contract specialist for about 10 years, and in that time, I saw the importance of accountability and transparency in how our funds are being spent. And when I saw that City Council was open for elections this year, I decided that that was my opportunity to try and get involved in a more impactful way, to try and bring more transparency and accountability to our local government. I've got 5 kids of my own, 4 girls and 1 little boy, and I've been in this city for about 10 years now. And I want to make sure that we keep Colorado Springs doing what it does best, bringing that small town feel in a big city. I want my girls and little boy to be able to grow up and be proud of the town that they are in. I don't want to see them growing up in a giant metropolitan city where they can just get lost in the crowd. And that's why I decided to get involved and run for City Council this year. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Burns, and I'm running for City Council in District 5. And I really appreciate everybody coming here tonight to hear our points of view, and thank you for putting this wonderful venue on. I moved to Colorado Springs about 30 years ago. I was a walk-on at the Olympic Training Center in the sports of judo and wrestling, which I still continue to coach youth to this day. I am a 24-year veteran of the Colorado Springs Police Department, and during that time I've worked in most all areas of the city, to include most all of our high schools. I was a school resource officer. And way back in the day when we had one, I was also one of the pilots that flew the police helicopter. So I always have to introduce myself and apologize for waking you up back in the day. I held a parallel career at the same time. I graduated from UCCS after my athletic career with a degree in business, and I earned a commission in the Army through the ROTC program. Over the next 30 years, between active duty and reserves and the National Guard, I served 30 years, retiring in 2019 doing that. I was a pilot with our National Guard here in the state, flying missions all through the mountains, rescues, fire bucket missions. And then later in my career, I was a disaster emergency preparedness exercise planner. So I got to work at US Northcom, where I looked at all of the problems in our society and in our countries around FEMA implementation, how the National Guard helps our local responders, and what we do in the case of fires. And we did a lot of planning in that. Coincidentally, we also had the Waldo Canyons and Black Forest fires at that time. I retired from the police department in 2022. And after that, I joined the LETAC committee, Law Enforcement Transparency Advisory Committee, a subcommittee on the City Council, because I wanted to give back and improve public service and public safety, which is what I feel is one of the biggest issues that we face here today. And with that, I saw how City Council runs and decided I can do a better job. And that is why I am running, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Jim Miller. I'm just a guy. Some of you guys may or may not remember when I ran for mayor, because I was sick and tired of a lot of the nonsense happening in town. Colorado Springs has been pretty much turned into everywhere else. This is not the way it's supposed to be. City Council has a lot of important positions. That includes the utility board. That isn't just citywide, that is countywide. That has a lot to do with land usage, which we know has been abused, bought, paid for, polluted, corrupted. It's also got to do with the budget. A lot of our money, because we all work every day, we're overworked, we're overtaxed, our money is wasted and going to things that we don't want and don't need and shouldn't be. I have 2 kids. I help take care of my sister, my nieces, my nephews, my mother-in-law. I have a very, very large family, and it's gotten so expensive and so hard with everything that I've even had to buy a couple of my family's other houses because they've gone in foreclosure because it is too expensive and too unaffordable out here. I don't think most things are going right. I think we need to have more people from the community getting up, stepping up, stop being complacent, because that makes you complicit to the problems. We need more interaction. We need a lot more people that care. Angry people that care get things done. That's just the way it is. So anyways, some of you know me from when I ran for mayor. Some of you hear me on the radio. It's fine. We don't have a lot of time, so we're going to move on with the next fellow, okay?
Thank you. My name is Aaron Schick. I am running for District 6, which is right here at Church for All Nations. Thank you for putting this together. I am in total agreement with what you said and with what Dave said. I think the city was one way when I moved here about 15 years ago, and now it has gotten to be a very different way. We can get through this. We can jump from being in the 50s largest cities down into the 30s now. We are going to grow, and we're going to continue to grow, but we need people who are going to do it with smart planning in mind. I am refusing all campaign contributions from not just big housing, not just special interest groups, everyone. I am for you and for the people. You can talk with me in the back. We will be listening for actual views from the people. I don't like how corruption has got into both campaign finance, where you can hide the money and not say who you are or who you gave it to or what you represent, and you can give an unlimited amount of money to this. So I am a candidate for the people who is running, who just wants to get to know you. I've been watching the issues, and I look forward to sharing and talking about more of those as we go on. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone, and once again, thank you all for being here. I am Roland Rainey, and I'm running for City Council District 6. So who am I? Who is Roland Rainey? Well, I am a retired Air Force decorated combat veteran. I served 26 and a half years leading our nation's sons and daughters through a variation of difficult times. I'm also a business owner. So I actually employ a ton of different members in my business, and we are contributing directly to our city's economy. I'm also a senior defense executive. In that role, I am actually contributing to the technology in satellite space operations and cyberspace operations that is going to organizations for our national security around the globe. I'm also very dedicated to our community. Currently, I'm the chair of the Pikes Peak Area Council for Government, the Community Advisory Committee, where we provide you as a community up-to-date information on where we're at with military land use, where we're at with transportation and water. I'm also currently serving as the commissioner for the 4th Judicial District. A lot of people may not know about that. That is where we vet, interview, and nominate judges to the governor. Also, I'm on the Banning Lewis School Board. I have 2 lovely daughters that go to that school, so I wanted to dedicate my time and that effort to make sure they're getting a great education. Now, with all of that being said, there's no pride and joy in my life, and she's right here in the front row, and that's my wife. We've been married for 28 years, been together 30 years, and we have 3 daughters, so very proud of that. Trying to keep my oldest daughter here in Colorado. She's graduating from high school, so trying to keep her here. I want you to know that 3 things are important to me: public safety, emergency management, infrastructure, and we got to keep U.S. Space Command here, and I'm definitely the right guy for that. RolandRainey.com. Go take a look at me. Thank you very much for being here.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. I'm Parth Melpakam. I'm a husband, proud father. I've lived in this community for close to 30 years, and my background is in oil and gas industry. I came to this country 35 years back with a couple of suitcases and less than $100 in my pocket to pursue higher education. I am the testimony of American dream come true. Hard work and determination and effort determines your future success. I have a daughter who's involved in District 11 schools, and when she got involved in District 11 schools, I was dismayed by the results that our public education was putting out for our students. That motivated me to run for District 11 School Board in 2019, and I got re-elected in 2023. I have served 4 years, continuing to serve in my 4th year as the board president. During that time, the district has made remarkable progress. We have prioritized academic achievement and ensured that our parental authority is being recognized in our schools. And the district has moved significantly in the state rankings from where it was 3 years back. All of that happened because we put bold principal leadership up at the very front, putting students first. When I come to City Council, I approach City Council with the same thought. I want to put Colorado Springs first. That is residents. When I talk to my neighbors, there is considerable concern that local government is not listening to their voice. So my priority as I run for City Council is to make sure that the interest of our residents is being met and the economic vitality of our country, of our city is also being promoted. I look forward to your support as we go along today. Thank you.
Okay, so I almost had to call out my hard-hitting free safety on Roland. So the warning has been levied. Don't go over time. We really want to make sure we get to everyone. And so with that being said, let me quickly again go over what's going to happen. I'm going to ask a question. The two closest to me will answer the first question, and then we'll go in that order, two at a time, answering different questions. Okay, it's up on the screen. If you'd like to text in a question, that number's on the screen. For those that are watching via YouTube or our live stream, you can also text in a question. And so, again, does everyone understand how these questions will be? Okay, so 2 minutes. Please watch the flag. You know, feel free to cover your eyes when the hard-hitting safety is running your way, if you go over time. So, we will begin with Dave. And so, public safety is a top concern for many residents. How would you support increasing our police force to ensure adequate staffing, recruitment, and retention while balancing budget constraints?
Okay, thank you for that question. That's great. It's important to remember what City Council really has authority over, right? We really do two big things. One, we pass a budget. And then two, we handle land use. And then we do some other smaller things. We hire the CEO of Colorado Springs Utilities. We can pass some resolutions. The budget is where City Council has some effect on public safety. So it's important. Now, has City Council cut the budget from what the mayor has asked? I voted yes on the first two budgets, the two under Mayor Suthers. I voted no on the most recent two. Why? Because our mayor had proposed, and it ended up passing, O&M cuts in our police force, operations and maintenance. 2 years ago, another reason I voted no was as I recommended we raise the pay for our 911 call center. The 911 call center has a shortage of personnel there, both the ones that receive the calls and the ones that then dispatch it out to the police. So because of that, you know, I voted no, because we're not paying them enough, and when you don't pay people enough, you don't get enough employees, and that's what was happening there. I've talked about the resolution I got passed on council, stating we're not a sanctuary city. What effect does that have? It keeps criminals, people who broke across the border, and we've seen in the news, criminals out of our city. I also recently voted yes on the expanding the no sit-lie ordinance for downtown, South Nevada. My brother is a police officer. He just retired, 27 years. I go to every police graduation, every police promotion, every police retirement. Right before this, I was at a graduation for CSPD, the 80th class. Those are things City Council can really do. Once we pass the budget, the police chief is meeting with the mayor. The mayor needs to be held accountable for crime in the city.
Thank you. As Councilman Donaldson said, funding public safety is the thing that City Council can do that has the most impact here. Funding pay and all the infrastructure that they need to do the job is critical. I believe that government should be limited and only perform core functions. Public safety, law enforcement is certainly one of those and should be the top priority for city budget. In addition, however, we have to continue to have a city that is a place where people want to live. and it's affordable for people to live. New police officers, new other first responders need to be able to live here and work here and enjoy their time here like all of us. We bring our families here and we want to stay here. If we don't have a system where we have housing for those folks to start at an entry level, they may come through an academy and be here for a couple of years but then have to move on. We need to make sure that that doesn't happen. Again, prioritizing core government functions is the most important thing that we can do, and public safety is key. Keeping those, dealing with a homeless problem, dealing with homelessness downtown primarily, but throughout the city is something that we have to address because there are links and correlation between that and crime. And we need to do all we can to make sure that we stop crime from coming in the first place so we don't have to worry about it as much down the road at the enforcement level. So I look forward to being able to listen to my constituents and help to develop some solutions that will help solve those problems for the city for the long term.
Okay, Brandy, new question. Growing concerns about city infill versus city sprawl, with a current 34,000 acre-foot deficit of water to complete our current build-out projections within city limits, how do you feel about large annexations that have the potential to further strain not only our water supply, but also our relationship with farmers down south who help provide the water?
Thank you for that question. I think they loaded about 10 pounds of stuff in that 5-pound bag because those are the big questions. Back when I was on city council, one of the things that we did was pass the rate increases for the Southern Delivery System, which I know is not exactly popular, but that's a piece of the Colorado Springs puzzle, which is really planning for the future. I've done my best to let city council take that on by themselves, and I haven't done another deep dive when it comes to water. But whether we're annexing or not annexing, we need to make sure that we have enough water, because just because you don't annex doesn't mean you don't need water for those infill projects. That's actually one of the things I wanted to tackle when I was on city council, but I just didn't have enough time, was to really maximize the infill lots that we have and work within the community to make it so hopefully we would have had a lot more homes in that area, but then the economy crashed on all of us. So yes, water needs to be looked at diligently, and again, just because we have the water doesn't necessarily mean we know where that growth is going to take place. I'll take the opportunity to touch on public safety because I think that is paramount to the function of government, and I think that city council is going to have to take on an advocacy role. Again, back in 2011, I never would have thought we'd have a conversation of whether you do or do not fund a police department, but that's the conversation today. Just so everybody in the audience knows, I will absolutely fund the police department. We will make sure it's in the budget. We will then have to do more than we've done in the past, which is really actively recruit and then figure out how to find partnerships and keep those partnerships within the community. A piece of the puzzle is really going to be working with the state, and I started my timer late, so I'm out of time, but figuring out how we can get more condos in this area to really bridge that gap for those levels of the city.
So District 4 is an interesting place. We do not experience the amount of development that other places in Colorado Springs has experienced. We're an older community. We have a lot of older homes. We do not have the amount of homes that's necessary for those that live in our area, nor do we have affordable homes. So when we talk about annexations, I'm definitely looking at the residents of District 4 and making sure that we have the housing that's adequate, affordable, as well as the options, such as condos, like Brandy said, for those in our district. Now, when it comes to large large annexations across the city, I believe that we have to be smart. I know that word is used a lot now, but we have to use wisdom in building out our city. And so when it comes to the annexations, for me, I'll take everyone individually, but I also think it's important that we have that criteria to make sure that we're not overutilizing our resources like water. I know that the Colorado Springs utilities had that 128%, and I think they did that in order to just have that criteria for that specific annexation. But I think as we go further into these sorts of situations and looking at the water, that we should most certainly have a definite criteria that we can go off of to make sure that we have the water for the future.
Okay, Cass, new question. Everyone hates potholes, apparently. What would you do, or how would you go about fixing the roads?
That's a great question. In District 5, if you drive around, those roads are just terrible. I've seen like 4 or 5 cars just in the last 2-3 months hit this one pothole in District 5 and blow tires. It's just horrible. I think for a growing city, it's important to invest in multimodal transportations. Things like dedicated bus routes, bus lanes, increasing road lanes, and that includes focusing on getting infrastructure invested in and patched up. Especially when it comes to our roads, it's particularly important because we have things that were brought up to me before with like our dump truck services. We have these large trucks on the roads, and they make passes almost every week through these roads that don't have the proper infrastructure in place to handle a lot of these heavy vehicles driving on them every single day. And so when it comes to fixing potholes and stuff, it really is going to come down to finding out why their potholes are even showing up. If it takes looking at the specifics of putting in the pavement, you know, increasing it from like 3 inches to 5 inches to invest in the future of that road and make sure that it's not going to be impacted by larger trucks driving on it consistently. That's something that really needs to be looked at when it comes to putting the contracts in place for repairing these roads. And so that's something that I would bring a little bit more expertise in when it comes to designing the contracts to fix these roads. As a federal contract specialist, that was something that I dealt with every day. So that would be my first priority for roads, is look at the specifics, relook at the traffic implements that are on them, and figure out what needs to be required to be put into that contract. Thank you.
So as a 24-year police officer, I've been on probably every road in this city, and I have seen the best and the worst. So Colorado Springs has a unique dynamic when it comes to roads. Believe it or not, we are one of the most harshest users of roads in the country. If you go to Phoenix, it never freezes. If you go to Fargo, it freezes once for 5 months. But Colorado Springs freezes and thaws almost daily during the winter, between the heat, everything else. And that freeze-thaw cycle is incredibly destructive on our roads. We also have the added dynamic that most people that are buying vehicles now are buying one of 2 kinds. They're buying larger trucks and SUVs that are heavyweight, or they're buying electric vehicles, which look nice and run great, but they're also very, very heavy on our roads. So we need to fund our roads properly. It's going to be a growing expense. I will look at using developers who want to bring in annexations and other infills and say, you have a responsibility for bringing in additional funds and additional resources to fix those roads. Additionally, I'm sure there's not a person here who doesn't look at our roads and who's driving on them and say, you know, people have gotten really less polite over the last couple of years. And the other thing is I pay my taxes and fees, but how many times do I have to drive and see someone with no license plate or license plate years out of date? This is an area that we need to use and work with our public safety to address. And I will tell you, as an officer, many times those initial contacts of people that don't maintain proper registrations and proper vehicles leads to encounters with people that have other nefarious activities in our cities. there needs to be a proactive focus on the traffic management from that public safety as well. Thank you.
Jim Miller, new question. Colorado Clean Energy Plan mandates an 80% reduction in carbon emissions by 2030, requiring significant investments in renewable energy sources. As a board member of Colorado Springs Utilities, how would you balance these unfunded state mandates with the need to maintain reliable and affordable energy for our citizens? What specific strategies would you propose to ensure compliance without compromising service quality?
Well, you didn't give me a hard question at all, did you?
No, I didn't.
Like the easiest one so far, right? So part of the thing with the roads part, to kind of loop back to that, the potholes, I'd fill them and I'd find out who's wasting the money and not putting it towards the roads and make sure they get fired and get somebody else better in there that cares about it and would take care of it for the roads. Clean energy. Let's not lie, that stuff's been costing us what? An arm, a leg, a kidney, everything you own and go. It's getting annoying and irritating at this point. Let's find something that's more affordable before we keep investing more and more and wasting more and more money. You look at your utility bills, you see it. What's it say? You got an access fee of $100 to $200 every month for stuff. Why? I don't get that either. I'd prefer to just pay the usage even if it was a higher cost. Utilities is fine. Renewables is fine. It just shouldn't cost everything that you got to have renewables. It's absolutely ridiculous. Find something a little more resourceful that works good. Our climate's hot. Our climate's cold. We got all of it. That stuff's not the most reliable. I say we look a little bit deeper at it, find a better way to budget it, and keep it from coming out of your pocket and mine. That's about all I got on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree, doing a deep dive into the utilities is extremely important. They don't really pay us to do this, but it's our job to actually get into the Colorado Springs utilities and get to the bottom of the finances. So although the question, I agree, is fairly difficult, not having already done a deep dive into the finances, with 15 years and a degree in financial planning and counseling, I would look into this, look at the finances, look at what is realistic, look at what is not realistic. If we have a mandate that we have to comply by some certain law, we would also do research and find out, are other cities, are other states saying, screw this renewable energy is not going to work? We need to look at the whole picture, balance it out, and then do a deep dive on the finances. Colorado Springs Utilities, in their defense, I think they've been doing a fairly good job dealing with the freeze-thaw cycle, getting water to us. We're kind of in a desert out here, and they've been doing an outstanding job. So I would partner with them, I would do a deep dive, and then I would do a report back to you guys on exactly what is going on, dollars and cents, where the money is being spent. And I would have earmarks with what we could change, what we could edit, and then I would present that to the city council and the mayor as an option. But the number one takeaway is, we work for you, you guys pay the bills, so we have to figure it out for you, and my job would be to do this in the least expensive way possible and in a way that doesn't take 20 or 30 years, so then the next group can come in and pass another law that then makes it more complicated and bureaucracy just starts stacking up. So doing a deep dive, looking at the finances, and actually trying to understand where we're at with the money and if we have to keep raising rates. Thank you.
Okay, Roland, new question, and since I have already thrown a penalty flag, here's an easy one. How do you feel about allowing taller buildings downtown?
That's not easy. Well, thank you for that question. RolandRaney.com, running for City Council District 6. There's been a lot of argument on both sides of the aisle on this particular question. The biggest part is, if we go too high, are we taking away from the beauty of the Front Range? Are we taking away the beauty of the Pikes Peak region? On the other hand, we keep talking about needing more space, needing more growth, needing the capabilities to actually support the folks that are actually coming into our lovely city. So yes, it's a very complicated argument on both sides. What I don't want us to do, however, is I don't want us to become a boulder. I don't want us to put restrictions on everything. However, I do believe we need to look at each approval on a case-by-case basis. once again, if we find ourselves in a position where we decide we're going to restrict all buildings above a certain height and we continue to grow at the pace that we are, then we could find ourselves in a very interesting predicament. However, I definitely don't want to take away from the beauty of our region. People move here because they love this place. They love going out to the mountains. They don't want to see an obstruction there. They love going fishing. They love going hiking, the Garden of the Gods. They want all of that. It is what makes us very unique compared to any other place. But I want us to be smart about how we do it. Let's do it as a collective group. Let's get all entities together and make sure that we're making a very smart decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. And whether it's building heights, annexation, infill growth, all of this goes back to the central question that Colorado Springs is growing, and how do we grow in a smart and sensible way? And that is putting the interest of Colorado Springs residents first. Before a project starts, whether it's going to be building heights or annexations or infill growth, the community feedback has to be sought. There has to be honest, transparent conversations that has to take place with the community so they are aware and they can also provide feedback and their concerns can be addressed in a timely manner. And some of those conversations, when that doesn't take place, that's where the distrust in the government starts happening. So my advocacy would be to engage the community, listen to them respectfully, take feedback from them while we engage in this process going forth. Now, specifically on building heights, you got to balance the private property rights while also making sure that the culture and the character of this city, the small town feel, is being maintained as we go forward out there. So that's the balance that we need to take by engaging with the community. Circling back on public safety that was addressed out there, or potholes, all of that comes to city budget, which City Council has oversight on. Serving on the District 11 School Board, we were able to identify so many inefficiencies in our budget. Last year, we saved $5 million in central admin cost and moved it directly into the classroom closest to our teachers. That's the same focus that I would bring to City Council, looking at inefficiencies that are there in the city budget and moving it directly to the people and the people that benefit.
Mr. Donaldson, new question. Colorado Springs has the second largest concentration of military in the country. They are very important to our economy. Are you satisfied with the city-military relations? If not, what do you recommend?
Okay, thank you for the question. I just can't resist doubling back on the building heights issue because I was the one that wanted that to go to the ballot and allow citizens to vote on it. I thought that was very reasonable. Before we build buildings 500 feet tall, or I've forgotten what the initial proposal was for the tall building downtown, it would have been, I can't remember, 75% taller than the tallest building we have. I thought it would be very reasonable for citizens to get to vote on that, to say, okay, and I had a proposal to cap it at the height of the tallest building downtown, if that's what citizens wanted. And I think that it will change the character of our city when we start to have skyscrapers downtown. The idea that we're going to solve a housing shortage by the people living at the very tippy tops of these tall buildings downtown, I don't believe it. There are very successful cities in America, Washington, D.C., well, maybe that's an exception, maybe that's not successful, but they have a building height limit. Paris, France has a building height limit. Santa Fe, New Mexico has a height limit. So does Boulder. And there are others. I used to know them all. So that was something I wanted to be brought to the citizens for a vote. It wouldn't have cost anything. The ballot was going to be out there anyway, and you would have had a chance to vote for it. Now, I don't take developer donations. That's one of the unique things about me. I don't take money from developers. So I'm willing to do things like that. While others on council were very reluctant. In fact, no one else would support doing this, putting it on the ballot, even though two had told me immediately before we walked out there that they were going to support it. But they changed their view right then. The question about military, it looks like I have 10 seconds left. We have to continue to work on our relationship. You know, Fort Carson, Schriever, Air Force Academy, Peterson Air Force Base are critical parts of our economy. I'm a veteran. I'm endorsed by a two-star general from the Air Force. I'll work on that.
I'm unburdened by Councilman Donaldson's record and his history, so I can answer this question, because I don't have the history on the tall building. The military is important. Again, I'm a military veteran as well, retired from the Air Force, and got to live in a number of places around the country, on bases and off, when I was a kid growing up or in my own career. We need to have a good relationship with all of the military installations on the base or around the city, because that is an entry point for a lot of people who leave the service and want to stay in our town. There's a huge difference, I think, between what things look like outside the Air Force Academy and what things look like outside of Fort Carson and what things look like outside of Schriever. And there really shouldn't be that kind of a difference, in my opinion. What we need to do is make sure that the amenities that the city has that are available to the people that are stationed in our community are evenly distributed, that housing is affordable for all at the appropriate level in the right places. And that's something that we can do through our land use decisions, but also it's a matter of making sure that we have good relationships with the military installations and the services. When we have the Army coming out, Fort Carson coming out, and banning their soldiers from going to certain places, that's a problem in our town. We shouldn't have that. We shouldn't have to have limits on where the people can go from a military installation into this city. And so I think that working collaboratively with the military that is here and working with the services to make sure that Schriever doesn't go away, those are things that we can do to help make sure that this city continues to thrive on its military relationship.
Candidate Williams, do you support increased red light camera and automated speed camera programs? If so, how would you fund the programs?
This is a perfect question for me. So the first time the red light cameras came in, I had to drive through 3 of them. I was on city council at the time. And at first I thought it was, to me, kind of an invasion of privacy. But by about the second or third month, it had completely changed the way that I drove. While I was on council, the mayor and city council disagreed on whether or not those should stay. I thought they should stay because if it changed my driving habits, then it could have the ability to change everyone's driving habits. And the luxury of those is that people pay those tickets very regularly, which means that's less court costs, and hopefully they end up like me and they drive better. So yes, I would support them without having a deep dive on the budget. I can't tell you where the additional funds would come from, but I think they have really helped safety in our community. I do want to touch on Colorado Springs utilities. I'm not sure if anyone in the audience has an electric heater living in Colorado Springs. We recently did the experiment of having an electric heater in Colorado Springs, and at that point in time, you were choosing whether you have dinner or you have a warm house. So I am not comfortable at all with the changes that are being mandated by the state to reduce the amount that we're using gas and really touch on those renewables, because that's how we all afford in Colorado Springs to keep our houses warm. For some of us, that's how we cook. I don't think that the state should have that much influence on what we're doing at the local level, and as a member of the Colorado Springs Utilities Board, I will continue to fight to have gas in our homes and not make everything electric and not have everything be renewable, because we need to have that base load, and you can't have it based upon whether the sun or the wind came out that day.
So to answer your question about the red light cameras and the speed cameras, I completely support them. Down in District 4, you have a lot of recklessness when it comes to traffic and speed. And so having those in place, like Brandy said, helps to regulate drivers in a way that also eases the stress off of our law enforcement. So I think it's great that we have these in place. I know that we also have the public safety tax, and so using those funds to help pay for that, I think is a great way to fund these resources within the city.
Just saying. Not that I have any experience in that. All right, Cass. In reference to the launch pad, the new at-risk youth apartment building is located across the parking lot of a marijuana business. Do you think marijuana contributes overall to the homelessness, crime, and at-risk youth challenges?
I may be a little bit biased in this one. When I first went to college, I studied naturopathic medicine and ethnobotanist. And in my experience, there's a lot of medicinal value for those who find value in it, who have issues that it could address. But I think in the beginning, when Colorado legalized it, it did attract a lot of people looking for using it. As far as participating to the growth of abuse, I do not think that it does contribute to the abuse. We've all seen the effects of the DARE program growing up. I was part of one of those, and the impact was not as impactful for the abuse of the drug as much as it was for finding the benefits of law enforcement being involved in the community. I would like to see more involvement in our community from the police department, more presence from them, and I think that would really shape the culture around those kinds of issues in a more impactful and positive way. Thank you.
So the answer to that question is yes. Increased marijuana in our communities has an increase in crime and has an increase in homelessness. It's solid. Now, having said that, I will say, if you're an adult and you choose to use responsibly, the law has allowed you to do that now. So be it. That's fine. But I have seen, unfortunately, through my years in the high school, and particularly during the years in 2012 on, when medicinal was approved, which was an end run of legalization, we immediately saw a rapid increase of use across the board. And we saw indicators from graduation rates, traffic crashes, go in the wrong direction with every marker. But it's here, and we are having to manage that, and that is one of the public safety concerns we have to deal with. Our traffic deaths on the roads have just all gone up. There was an article in the Gazette about that. Remarkably absent in any reference was the influence of impaired driving because of other substances beside alcohol. So we will grapple with that from here on out. So, real quick about the military in our community. Yes, we have a very good relationship, and I was a beneficiary of that relationship when I deployed to Iraq, and they took care of my family. I was grateful. I will also say that if you ask a police officer, what are GIs and military, what do they do in the community, you would expect to get the other rowdy downtown on Friday and Saturday nights, and sometimes that's true, as with most people of that age group. But I will tell you, the military in our community, and in particular our retired military, are one of the greatest stabilizing forces in our community that we have. We are a city of 500,000 and have some of the lowest comparative crime. Our next largest city is Kansas City. Do the math. Or we can look at Albuquerque, also similar in size. So I'm very, very proud of our military, very proud to have been military, and very much in favor of supporting them.
Candidate Miller. Softball. Please define affordable housing.
Jim Miller, District 5. Affordable housing. Well, it's not really a softball, but I appreciate it being such a short question. I'll give you that much. I think the focus with affordable housing needs to actually be a little bit diverted to affordable living. The excessive taxation, the cost of everything, utilities, so on and so forth. So if we focus more on that, we can have affordable living. I think that that will make it much better, much easier for anybody and everybody to have affordable housing. It's become overpriced. It's too much. Regional buildings out of control. Permit for this. This costs that. You got to do this to get that going. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and just comes out of our pocketbook. Like I said, most of the stuff going on right now, we need affordable living. They don't value your money, which means they don't value your time, because money is nothing more than a token of your time. And we need to start getting a lot of this under control and the budgets down right. So we can work on it through there and start hemming back regional building and many other things, including the utilities, to make living affordable, which will bring housing to be affordable for you, me, my family, and everybody else that decides to be here and be productive. That's all I got for that one.
Yeah, definitely affordable housing has gotten out of hand. When I first moved here, I think it was $350 a month. I got my definitely affordable housing with a shared bathroom and a few other people, and I think that's another direction a lot of people are going. We have giant luxury houses, and what you're gonna see is a lot of investors buying those houses and then packing them full with 8 to 10 renters, because affordable housing is not a thing in this town. It is a vacation town, it is a tourist destination, and it is an outstanding place to live, voted time and time again. So it's going to cost a little bit, and I'm extremely grateful that I had the opportunity and the wherewithal to move here when it was affordable. Honolulu, same issue. There's homelessness as well as extremely high pricing and high house costs. The solution is meeting with building companies and breaking the stranglehold of corruption, I think, that the big housing organizations have come and destroyed this town with. I think if you had a lot of smaller building companies and a lot of smaller mom and pop shops in here, you deregulated, made it open and easy to get and make permits, pull permits. Getting your basement finished should not be a nightmare to a personal homeowner. Getting your hot water heater approved because you did it yourself should not be hell and a pile of money in order to do that. So we can streamline that. We can Department of Government efficiency this up in the coming years as we join the national movement in that direction. And I definitely think we can bring housing costs down. Thank you.
It only took an hour to bring up Doge. Good job. All right, candidate Rainey, what is your position on offering meaningful property tax incentives to encourage specific development, such as infill or targeted development in District 4?
I'm in District 6.
I know. The question was actually directed at Districts 5 and 6.
Okay, gotcha. Before I answer that question, I want to go back to military relationships. I can't emphasize that enough. As a decorated combat veteran, when I deployed to Afghanistan, the base leadership, the folks that were on that base, the way they took care of my family, there's just no words for that. The way the community took care of my family while I was gone, there's no words for that. So yes, our relationship is absolutely critical. I'm very proud to say that Congressman Jeff Crank, when he learned about my background in the military, he wanted to make sure that he leveraged my experience in space operations to help write legislation to keep U.S. Space Command here. And I actually worked with his congressional delegation task force to actually do that. Some of the bullet points on operational requirements to keep U.S. Space Command here, I actually did that. So that relationship is absolutely critical. Also, from an economic standpoint, I think we all know that when it comes to the military installation, they are a critical part of our economy here in Colorado Springs. Also, I want to make sure I'm very clear about the question about marijuana. Recreational marijuana in Colorado Springs, I am 100% unequivocally no. I do not want this in our city. I do not want this well, thank you very much. I just don't. We have a lovely city, a beautiful city, and I want to keep it that way. Now, when it comes to the taxes, when we talk about infill, when we talk about annexation, and potentially what may take place with that, is there going to be a direct impact on our taxes? I think we need to go backwards for a second. legislation that's coming down from Denver is actually dictating a lot on our property taxes, and that's something that we need to make sure that we don't allow legislatures up there in Denver to put their will on us down here.
Thank you. I'm a limited government conservative, so lower government overreach and lesser the burden on our citizens. Colorado Springs has a budget of over $1 billion already. So they have enough money in the general budget without having to add to the tax burden of our citizens. Less government regulations so that that savings can be transferred over to our citizens so they can afford. When I talk to neighbors, they are worried about kitchen table issues, paying bills, having a roof over their head, and affording groceries. Government should not be adding to the burden of our citizens. Affordable housing, one thing I do want to add. We need to make sure that when these developments, infill developments or annexations happen, those costs do not get transferred over to the residents. When one of the annexations was considered, there was a rider fee that was attached to it that was going to impact all the citizens that live in our community. Those type of rider fees should not be attached to the citizens. Thank you. And recreational marijuana, I was against it. I came recording a message because serving on the school board, I see the impact on our kids. And it's devastating. We can't have recreational marijuana in town.
Okay, we are at question 3, and I'm actually going to ask one question and ask that all candidates answer this final question. What are some core principles that have guided you in your life?
Okay, very good. Core principles. You know, I grew up in, I guess we could call it a blue-collar family. My dad was an NCO in the Air Force. My mom worked as a telephone operator. I ended up with 2 sisters, but back then I had an older sister and a younger brother. I remember the 3 of us in one bedroom. We boys slept in bunk beds, and my sister had her own bed. And eventually we went to Germany, and she got her own room. So it's looking out for well, we won't call them the little people, but people who are hard workers, and they're doing jobs that aren't necessarily college-educated jobs. My parents, neither of them had been to college. I was the first to graduate from college. So respect for others, really. Respect for everyone who's contributing to our nation, to our society. You know, and our Christian faith, my mother, my father, my mother was Catholic. We were raised Catholic. I was, an altar boy. That was always important in our family. Loyalty to family, service to the country. My dad, he served in Vietnam. My father-in-law landed on Utah Beach in World War II. I was 3 years in Iraq. Loyalty to country, family, God, those things. And right now, I would say it's fighting for what's right, fighting for what is true. There's a lot of confusion in our country today about what is true, what is right, even on issues as simple as what is a man, what is a woman. We don't seem to be able to figure that out sometimes in America. So those are the things that have guided me. I love my country, my God, my family.
Thank you. I fear that these answers are all going to sound an awful lot alike, but anyway, I think that the main principle that I want to focus on is, somebody touched on it here a little bit earlier, And that's the golden rule. You know, we were always taught, treat others the way you want to be treated. And we've lost a lot of that in our society today. People disagree and they immediately attack somebody else. They immediately attack somebody with the other opinion. We need to get beyond that. We need to get back to where we can disagree civilly, where we can have differences of opinion that don't destroy relationships. And so I think that's one of the things that I hope to bring to City Council is an ability to work with people to solve problems, not to attack one another, not to point fingers, but to make progress. We don't need to keep looking back. We need to move forward. Representative government's important. I'm studied and taught political science. I believe that our nation was founded on great principles, and representative government's one of them. It's not a direct democracy. If we wanted to just throw everything into a vote of the people all the time, all we need is a little app on our phone, do a survey once in a while, it's done. None of us need to waste our time running for city council. Representative government means that the people in our districts choose us to make decisions for them based on their input, but using our own judgment to be sure that we leaven the discussion. It's not mob rule. It's thoughtful representative government. And finally, equality. It goes back again to the golden rule. I believe we treat everyone exactly the same until they show by their behavior that they don't deserve to be. But ultimately, equal protection under the law and equality is another core principle.
The three that came to mind for me are hard work, compassion, and dedication. And it wasn't until I got older that I figured out where all of that came from. As I mentioned, I grew up in a ranching family, and that's hard work by definition. So much so that that's why I went to college in Pittsburgh, because there's no way my dad was calling me to come back to help on the ranch for the weekend. I never slept in until I went to college, ever. So that's where those come from. Other kids would have snow days. As soon as my dad would hear on the radio that school had been canceled, he'd turn around, he'd pick us all up, he'd take us to the ranch, and we'd go feed cows. I didn't realize what an anomaly that was till I went to college and I got my first job. Literally all I had to do was fold letters and send them out for the Alumni Association. And one of my employees would just kind of walk around the office, and not me. I was like, I want to see how many letters I can get done as fast as possible. He's like, there'll be plenty of time for all of that. Like, it's okay. You don't have to do it as well as you possibly can. That's not how I operate. Like, it needs to be done as well as I can possibly do it. And that's the dedication I gave to City Council, which is why it took me about a year to recover from the 80 hours I put in for 2 years. But I can see what it's done for this community, and I'm willing to do it again. To me, it's also doing the right thing when no one is looking. I think that's one of those hard things that I also had to learn growing up, was people would say, no one's gonna notice, you can do this or that. Doing the right thing when no one is watching really is a core principle of mine, because that makes life easier, and then you're always doing what needs to be done, and everybody knows that you're doing what needs to be done, even though no one is watching.
So the core values or core principles that have guided me have been humility, service, and strength. I grew up with a dual military family. My mother and my father are both in the military. And I watched my mother go off on multiple tours, and it was heartbreaking because she ended up becoming a single mother, and she understood what it meant to have the strength to do what was necessary to take care of her 3 girls. I also watched my grandmother, who is almost 90. I talked to her the other day, and she was saying that she was at the soup kitchen getting ready to take food to the elderly and shut-in. I said, Grandma, you're almost 90. But if you ask her, that is her service. You know, even Jesus humbled himself. The best leaders in the world are humble. Not only that, but they serve. What I love about our community is it's filled with people who are humble, who are willing to serve and have the strength to do what's necessary. So for me, being on city council, it means embodying what has helped me to be a great person and then demonstrating that for those who also share that with me in the community.
So I grew up in rural Alaska, and at times we didn't have any running water, we didn't have any heat, and I grew up to truly understand the value of hard work. My father taught me to treat others how I wish to be treated. My grandfather taught me that you can do anything you set your mind to. And my grandmother taught me to do everything to the best of your ability. These principles have guided me and brought me a very long way. They served me well in the military, and they served me well in raising my family. I hold to never give up, never surrender, and to do the best I can in everything that I can. Thank you very much.
I think one of the core values that I've lived my life is be of service to others. Throughout my military career, I served the country. Through my police career, I served this community. And even during that time, I continued to volunteer with different organizations in the community. And today I sit on the board of 2 nonprofits that address the scourge of human trafficking. And I also serve on a subcommittee for the city council. And I've reached a point in my life where I said I choose to continue to serve in the capacity as a city councilman. And I'm in a space in my life where my 2 of 3 kids are now grown and out, and I have the support of my family, and I don't have a job that will demand my time. I don't have other outside demands of my time. So I am in effect applying for this 80-hour-a-week volunteer position as a city council person. The stipend is very low. It may as well be volunteer. But be of service to others. You will find your heart grows when that happens. Thank you.
Jim Miller, District 5. So core values. The Marine Corps taught me honor, courage, commitment. I grew up much different than most of you here. I was one of those quote-unquote statistics, supposed to be a criminal in prison, have nothing. I grew up homeless. I've had nothing to eat. I've been very grateful for many things. I understand being grateful and appreciative. I get a little outdated with some of the kids nowadays, including my own, because the things they cry about are things they should be grateful for. But it's just always got to be doing the right thing. That's it. It doesn't matter. It's always the wrong time to do the right thing. I've taught my kids to be a solution, not a problem. I've taught my children, just look, stand up. Don't take a knee. Get up, do it. Don't be complacent, because that makes you complicit to all the problems, all the issues, and everything. If you're doing nothing, you're doing wrong. Integrity. That's not been heard very much in a long time. This is an interview and a job for a position that requires a lot to take care of, a burden. It is a burden, like jury duty. It is not a job for a career, a position for some kind of status. It's just the right thing. Something needs to be done, and that's just the way it is. Because it's never the right time to do the right thing. That's all I got.
Aaron Schick, District 6. I was raised by a Christian conservative homeschooled family. My father passed away of a brain aneurysm when I was 12. There were 6 kids in the family, and boy, did we grow up quick. I also was in Boy Scouts, and I am an Eagle Scout, and I feel like integrity is probably why I'm on this stage right now. I felt that this was lacking, and when I started looking into city council, I noticed that there was some opportunities. So I am running based off of integrity, and I am running as a service as well, because I feel like we have to have at least 5 to 7 people who are ultimately reflecting the true will of the people, and that they stand for good, So I promise to be trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent when serving you guys over the next 4 years. Thank you.
Roland Rainey, District 6, RolandRainey.com. My core principles has been guided by the things that my father and my mother instilled in me. And I definitely want to give her a happy heavenly birthday. Today she would have been turning 70. On the hard work front, a lot of folks look at me and oftentimes go, why do you work so hard? Why do you have all these things going on? Why do you do so much in the community? I was born and raised on a sugarcane plantation in southern Louisiana. Enough said, right there, enough said. And the fact that I've been able to go from bootstrapping as an airman, working my way up as a lieutenant colonel, building my own business, building a beautiful family, contributing my time and my talents to my community. Oftentimes you hear the American dream is dead. I'm sitting here as living proof that it's not dead. It is alive. But if you want to live that American dream, have the hard work ethic, be of service to others. And more importantly, and I live by this all the time, just treat people the way you want to be treated. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Be respectful. Respect and dignity, oftentimes we hear that, but it goes to the wayside. We need to get back to a community of respect and dignity, taking care of your fellow citizen, taking care of your neighbor when they need assistance. Oftentimes now we go, I can tell you what most people live, wake up, go to work, come home from work, maybe deal with kids if they have kids, go to sleep, maybe eat, and then repeat the pattern. We got to go back to respect and dignity.
Yeah, my values are rooted in hard work, faith, and family. I already shared my experience growing up. I grew up in a family where they struggled to put food on the table and a roof over our heads. But education was prioritized, hard work was prioritized. And here I am, halfway across the world, living the American dream because of that hard work, determination, and the effort. And faith and family are the other two things that go along with it. I've served on the District 11 School Board for 6 years, and during that time, we have taken on some really challenging issues, putting students first. And I have the scars to show for it. There are several people in the audience that I recognize who attend our board meetings, and public comments are not something that are usually complimentary, but it requires true leadership to stand in faith, in the midst of that onslaught, to make sure that the right decisions are being taken. I bring that proven leadership. And when you get attacked like that, you have to lean on your faith, and you have to lean on your family. Leadership is sometimes lonely, it's solitary. I take things personally. I want to make sure that I'm doing a job that is I've been elected for, that I want to be credible, that I'm working for you, just as I did when I served on the District 11 School Board, which I still do. So hard work, faith, and family, those are the things that ground me.
Candidate Burns, let me tell you about volunteering 80 hours a week with zero stipend. Some of you know what I'm referring to. Okay, so we will now have closing statements. We will begin with candidate Donnelly, and just go down the line, 1 minute. Please watch
Okay.
for the flag.
Yeah, thank you, and I want to thank all of you for being here tonight, and I want to thank the citizens of District 1 for giving me the privilege of representing them over the last 4 years. Again, I don't take developer money, developer contributions, and because of my independent voting, my representation of you, there's a target on my back right now. from moneyed interests that don't want me on council. So I ask citizens to go to davedonaldson.org and help me out. Volunteer, contribute if you can. My opponent, you'll notice, is not here tonight. He's trying to paint himself as very similar to me. He has an American flag in the background, talks about being a veteran, talks about singing in his church choir. What he doesn't tell you is his church is First Congregational downtown. It has a large BLM banner and a large LGBTQ banner hanging right on the front of it, proudly displayed. What does that tell you about him? He drives from Mountain Shadows there. I think he's very comfortable with those ideologies. I'm not.
I'd like to add my thanks, too, to all of you that are here tonight and for hosting this event, giving us a chance to make ourselves a little bit more known to the community. I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you being here and learning a little bit about us. Most importantly, I'd like to say that I'm very impressed with my colleagues up here, with everyone. I think that all of us have expressed a desire to serve, and it's something that not everyone can do, not everyone will do. And you think of Theodore Roosevelt writing about the man in the arena, getting in and being the one who is competing, who is serving, who is doing the job. It's a whole lot easier to sit on the outside and watch and criticize. But it's a lot harder, it takes a lot of courage, and so I thank all of you for doing that, and thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you those who voted for me when I ran at large, because this is all 6 districts. The first time I ran, I got elected to serve the entire community, and somebody asked, if you get elected to District 3, are you only going to focus on your district? Yes, I will look at my district, but I still am going to have that entire perspective for the entire community. I want to thank the man that kept me safe in council chambers. I see him in the audience tonight, so thank you for that. Thank you for coming tonight. For District 3 specifically, and really for the whole city, it's about public safety, unfortunately potholes, and for that part of the town, for those who are watching online, fire mitigation, and really doing all that we can to prevent another Waldo Canyon as much as we can down in District 3. Again, thank you all for coming. Brandy Williams, District 3 City Council. Thank you.
So I second what everyone has said thus far. I appreciate everyone for coming, especially in District 4. You don't see the level of engagement that is necessary to see the change. And that's why I'm running. I'm not a politician by any means. I'm a mother. I would love to be at home playing with dinosaurs and making snacks. But like some of the others have said, you do what's required when you see that there is a need. And in District 4, there is a great need. And we don't need a politician. We need someone who is just as desperate for transformation as the residents that live there. And so that's why I'm running. So if you don't live in District 4, I would suggest you get online and say Sharia for District 4, because we definitely need someone who has a different perspective, who's willing to tell people you can get up from poverty, who's not willing to just agree with it, but actually make a difference and work to change it. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank all of you guys for coming out tonight. It is truly amazing to see so many people who care about local government. Second, I would like to thank all of you guys for being up here. This is truly amazing to see such great candidates up here. I'm very honored to just be up here with them. And I would also like to thank my dedicated campaign team, my wife and my 4 kids. They have kept me strong throughout this whole process. I think right now is a time to stop being governed by the passions of desire and emotion, and it's time to start looking at reason and the logic to provide the best life for everyone possible. And I would be truly honored to be able to serve you guys, listen to your concerns, and finding solutions for you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all for coming, and thank you all for being interested in your local government. That's where the real work happens, and that's what most affects all of us. As a District 5 City Council person, while I will work for that district, all of the City Council people work for the whole city, and everything that happens in the city is important to us. The biggest issue that we face in this city right now is public safety. We are really challenged. It is going in the wrong direction. We have response times that are up over 20 minutes. We have officer retention issues. We have criminal issues that are not being addressed. And all of the other issues will pale in comparison if we do not address that and turn that ship in a different direction. We don't have to look very far north to our neighbor in Denver to see what a downtown area that is really in trouble looks like. I don't want that here. So I will work as a city council person to make sure that doesn't happen. electchrisburns.com. Thank you very much.
Jim Miller, District 5. Look, I got into the politics. I didn't want to. I don't like politics. I don't like politicians. I do love my neighbors and I love my family. Okay? I only got into this because 4 convicted felon pedophiles moved in next door to my house. I live next to a church. That's unacceptable. For further context, my daughter is a survivor of that. I went to a lot of what was going on in the city, and I asked why. Why is this acceptable? Why is this happening? Why are my kids that grew up in their neighborhood can't be comfortable? Why is it it's more important if somebody's being mad about what? A McDonald's or something moving into the community? Everybody will raise a big guff about it. I've been by myself doing that and dealing with that and facing it and trying to make a difference, getting that kind of problem away from schools, parks, daycares, and the churches. It's never, you're always by yourself doing the right thing. No matter what district we're in, we have to work for doing things for all you guys. Jim Miller for Colorado.com. Please look it up.
Thank you, guys. Aaron Schick, District 6. Please vote for me. And also, because you will not be seeing any signs, you will not be getting any text message spam, you will not be getting any mailers in your mailbox you immediately tear in half and throw away, please tell a friend in District 6 to vote for Aaron Schick. A vote for me is a vote for integrity. Integrity matters. I am running off the basis that this position is important and it should not be able to be bought for a very low sum of money. Look at campaign finance. Do your homework. I look forward to getting to know you more, and please tell a friend. Thank you. Aaron Schick.
Thank you once again, everyone, for being here. And to those online who are streaming in and watching this, RolandRainey.com. You are all here because you care. Those that are online, you're watching because you care. And as a city council candidate, I have heard your voices because you feel like your voice has been left behind and no one is carrying the torch for you. I'm telling you, I'm here for you. I want to carry your voice to City Hall and speak on your behalf because it has been lost. And someone like me who's been volunteering in this city for 15 plus years, I've heard it over and over again. Your voice has been lost. I'm here to carry your voice to City Hall and fight really hard for you. RolandRainey.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Going last, I get every time to speak and finish the conversation, but thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate your feedback. I believe Colorado Springs is at a pivotal moment at this point in time. There is a lot of important decisions that are coming up, whether it's growth, public safety, infrastructure, economic development, and I bring proven leadership skills. I've been in elected office for 6 years. I've been accountable. My conservative leadership skills are impeachable. My track record speaks for itself. As a husband and father, I will prioritize public safety, and my conservative roots will also make sure that your taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely. Thank you again, and I hope you support me.
Okay, so Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence that we commit to giving up our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. If you don't know, these men and women are not going to get wealthy. At least they shouldn't get wealthy serving on city council. And so because they are willing to give of those things, I want you to please give them a hand for being willing to serve our community in this manner.